ダグラス・ A ・フライ、フクロウ・オウム、酔っ払い、もともとはディスタントライトのピアニスト、言動が意味不明で奇妙なオスだが、そのうちには深い闇と相当な悲劇が秘められている。
We'll find a way to get in there.
Hmm. 謎が多すぎる。この秘密のパスワードをどこで使うのかがわからん。どこで使うんだ？
We'll find a way to get in there. Let's have a good look around. This door looks suspicious to you, Marty.
A steel door reinforced with huge metal rivets with an armed insect goon standing in front of it? Nah, I don't see anything special about it.
Yeah, me neither.
What's up, meat sacks?
Meat sacks? That's not nice.
Your master is expecting us.
Well, what? I don't have a master.
We don't need the tango, okay? We know all the dance moves, and we know the password, too.
Yeah, the bronze beetle bakes a brownie before breakfast.
What now?
What now?
Just because you pulled a silly rhyme out of some drunken schmuck, I'm supposed to let you in? Ha! Give me a break.
But that's the way it goes, right? In movies and books and...
Just get the fuck out of here while I click it nicely, okay?
Listen, pal, if you don't want any trouble, you'll let us in. It's that simple.
Am I supposed to be scared now? Ha! I eat little shits like you for breakfast.
You eat shit for breakfast?
What?
Okay, come on. Let's do this.
I'm gonna kill you, meat sack.
Enough.
That?
Was...
The Queen.
Costa, send them down.
Yes, Your Highness. Okay, you got lucky, boys. Go down while I'm in a good mood.
Thanks, bug boy.
Hey, we don't use the B word around here. Am I clear?
Okay. Let's go, Marty.
I see. Welcome, detectives. Shall we begin?
The smell of cigarette smoke and cheap mead gave way to something else. An intoxicating woman's perfume mixed with a musty, lush aroma and the essence of expensive liquors. It was as if we'd suddenly descended into another time. We were standing in front of a throne, occupied by a real queen, as if she'd just stepped off the canvas of an old painting. I felt dizzy. I've been in some tough situations in my life, but this time, I shuddered. Would we ever get out of here with our feathers intact?
Welcome to our humble abode, detectives.
Humble? I have a different definition of humble.
Mr. Featherland, we used to live in a huge castle outside the Hive. Compared to that, this hovel is an insult.
Well, an underpaid cop like me would kill for an insult like this.
Come on, Mr. McChicken. Don't be so modest. You've got a quaint little apartment in Harlow Street with a lovely wife. You should be proud.
Wait, what? But how do you know that?
Oh, no need to be frightened, gentlemen. But they call us the Great Web for a reason. We can feel even the smallest vibration of the city from our throne. Our silk threads are everywhere.
Now we can sleep peacefully.
It's the plain truth. And you, dear detectives, are in the truth business, are you not?
According to the book.
And to what do we owe the pleasure of your visit, gentle birds?
We're looking for an insect that died, then disappeared.
Ah, I see. Well, make yourselves comfortable. Look around. Snoop. I can sense your hearts beat a little fast. Calm down first, and then we can talk.
You can sense our... But
We'll do just that. Thank you. It's like they're looking at me. Ugh. They have too many eyes for my taste. Perhaps a tad extravagant. Maybe after talking to Her Majesty, we'll be needing a couple of stiff shots.
パスター、グレートウェブ、そしてもちろんゼナイダ女王のために働く少々そやなゴキブリのならつ者。ゼナイダ女王、黒苔雲。ゼナイダ女王はグレートウェブという悪名高い犯罪組織のボスであり、彼女自身もまた生ける伝説である。町にいる動物たち一匹一匹に関するすべてを把握しているとも言われており、その監視の目から逃れることは不可能という噂まで広まっている。ただ一つ確かなことは、巣箱の悲惨な状況にもかかわらず、彼女は依然として町の権力闘争における重大な勢力だということだ。
Ugh, she gives me chicken bumps. Her eyes, I can't look into them, which could be a problem because she's got a lot of them and they're all staring at me. So, can we ask you a few questions?
First, you have to answer us. Why are you so interested in the fate of a mere insect? Did it hurt one of your kind?
Not at all, ma'am. We were hired by someone. A widow.
Oh, so you're altruistic crusaders.
Maybe we were just bored, ma'am.
I've heard you boys have been stirring up a lot of trouble over the last 2 decades. Perhaps this time, you've delved too deep into the hornet's nest.
You think so?
We're certain.
We'll see. If you don't mind, we'd like to ask you a few questions.
Be our guest. We have nothing to hide.
Appreciate it. Tell me, do you remember a pianist called Douglas?
He's right above us, even as we speak. He's either drinking his tears or some hard booze.
Was he really your personal pianist?
Something like that. We loved him and the way he played, full of heart. But we couldn't tolerate his erratic behavior any longer.
Who was the guy he got into a fight with?
A fiancé of mine at the time. He's dead now. Douglas. That silly little thing. He was always madly in love with us. He put that in his songs. And that's why we loved him. But he was jealous.
Jealousy is a terrible demon.
It is, Detective. It is.
There's no hope of letting him back in?
You pity him, right? I can understand that. It happened to us, too. We let him back, but he can't play or stay sober.
If we could help you with those two things, would you take him back?
Perhaps. But why would you do that? What did he promise you?
Nothing in the world. We're just trying to be good birds, that's all.
So the tales are true after all.
Well, we're talking to a living legend too, so tales can be true.
It's a deal, then. If you can find a cure for his hand and his heart, we'll welcome his return.
Thank you, Your Majesty. What can you tell us about the current state of the Hive?
Did you come here with paper bags on your heads? Have you not seen with your eyes?
Well, we'd like to hear it in your words.
As you wish. Since the Segregation Act, our people are suffering more than ever. We are eating ourselves alive. You may think we're being figurative, but we couldn't be more literal. We're running out of flesh, of life, of soul. But before that happens, our patience will run out.
The Segregation Act wasn't good for business either, right?
Correct. We don't want to be seen as the selfless grande dame, or everyone's fairy godmother. No. We were running a thriving business.
You mean a thriving criminal business?
Call it what you like. It was blooming, but the blossom eventually withered. Now we are suffering like everyone else. The Hive is an oil barrel, detectives, and Clawville a crazy old fool with a match in his hand.
Is the barrel gonna explode?
And with it, the old fool.
Well, thanks for your honest opinion.
Not mere opinion. This is our future, gentlemen.
That's quite a throne you've got there.
Why, thank you. It was our late grandmother's 200 years ago.
Whoa, wait, then how old are you?
Do you think it's appropriate to ask such a question of a lady?
For cluck's sake, Marty.
Oh, yeah, sorry. But it is a really beautiful chair.
You're funny. We like you.
Thank the gods.
Are you ready to go a little deeper?
Oh, you mean you're going to interrogate us?
That's one way of putting it. I prefer to call it a controlled conversation.
Interesting. You seem like a rough, crude fellow at first glance. But underneath those ruffled feathers, you have a rather sophisticated soul.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Especially the ruffled feathers part.
Our pleasure. Well, shall we begin?
I'd be delighted. The Queen seems to like us, but that may be a simple disguise. In any case, a veteran criminal like her is probably harder to break than to open with the right honeyed words. Boost her ego. That can be a solid tactic. But either playing the good or the bad cop, nothing is impossible if you ask the right questions in the right tone.
Be forewarned, Detective. What you learn here may shake everything you've ever believed in.
You think I believe in anything? It seems your famous senses have failed you.
We'll see, Mr. Featherland. We'll see.
Please tell us about yourself, Your Majesty. How did you become who you are?
You'd be surprised how little awareness there was in it. Things happened. Years flew by. And suddenly we found ourselves on this throne.
Lucky coincidences?
There are no coincidences, dear Inspector. We just did what we thought was right.
Right. We rarely hear that from the heads of criminal organizations, if I don't offend you.
What is right for someone, and in what situation, is subjective. We've lived our whole lives by a code of what we thought was right.
Isn't that convenient?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes the opposite.
Let's get to the point. Bodies are disappearing from the cemetery, and the clues have led us here. What do you think? Why?
You're not playing games. We appreciate that. Yes, in a way, we understand that some clues could have led you here. But those can be misleading. We know nothing about the missing bodies.
You don't know about them, or you have nothing to do with them. Big difference.
There is a big difference. We've heard things. The Great Web is everywhere. And every little bit of information makes its threads twitch. But no, we have nothing to do with them.
A cemetery caretaker named Joe was knocked down. He barely made it out alive. You know anything about that?
Oh, we know the graveyard beetle. The old stubborn fool. But he's a good insect nonetheless. We won't hurt him if he doesn't cross us.
Has he ever done anything like that?
Not that we know of.
So you have no idea who could have attacked Uncle Joe, and why?
Oh, we never said that. Merely that we didn't do it.
Oh, you're a smart player, Your Majesty.
Oh, thank you very much for the compliment. And if we may make a compliment too, we are glad that you care so deeply about the fate of a simple, old insect.
It's my job.
No. No, it is not.
Let's say I believe you. Do you think the glass was not just a weapon, but also a message?
An interesting theory, and there may be some truth in it. As the place is well known and has been ours for decades, yes, we can see why you might think that.
So you agree that the clues lead logically here?
If it is a message, we did not send it. It would be foolish to leave a clue like that, unless it leads to a trap. Am I right?
Well, forgive the assumption, but for a spider queen sitting in the middle of the great web, setting a trap seems quite apt.
If so, you would be in big trouble.
And is that the case?
No, not yet. I like you. You're sharp and respectful, most of the time. At least, for a chicken.
You're great at insulting and complimenting at the same time.
Thank you.
Suppose I believe that it wasn't you. Why didn't you take action against it?
You still think we're the feared and dreaded vigilantes of the Hive. Unfortunately, those days are over, Inspector. The Great Web is now more of an information center than a real, viable enterprise.
But information is power, ain't it?
Indeed, it is. But much more so for a place that is not cut off from every other part of the world. We've been enclosed, Mr. Featherland. So the world is slowly but surely passing us by. Unless
you do something about it.
Yes, but that's another story. You know, the people of the Hive don't need the Great Web to express their feelings. Especially their anger.
A hive-sized rebellion, for example.
Of course, neither the city nor the Crown wants that. In fact, we don't want it. But sadly, we are no longer the most powerful in the Hive. There are others who say how things are done.
Okay, if it wasn't you, then who was it? Who has the reason and the power to do such a thing?
The Golden Fang clan is well entrenched in the Hive. Thanks in part to them, much of our business is no longer, how shall we say, profitable.
The clan, huh? I heard they've been pretty quiet lately.
The fact that a criminal organization doesn't openly blow things up doesn't mean they're not very present, as you well know, Mr. Featherland. And for all we know, you and your partner are very much responsible for the existence of the clan in the first place.
Really? Please, enlighten me.
If the Wessler Empire hadn't fallen, the smaller clans that then waged war for power would never have been born. Am I right?
The Wessler Empire, huh? That was an old case, Your Majesty. If we hadn't stopped that threat, we might have been in even bigger trouble.
Oh, you really think so? That it could be worse than this? The whole city was ravaged by gangs feuding over the remnants of the Wessler Empire. These gang wars have consumed all the attention of the Crown and the police, leaving nothing left for the Hive. One angry insect, fed up, committed an assassination attempt that eventually led to the Segregation Act. See? After all, it all started when the so-called ChickenPolice put the head of the Wessler Empire on ice over some petty, little, private matter.
You know, that's kind of a loose and far-fetched hypothesis.
Oh, we haven't covered everything, but you know that in the big picture, we're perfectly right.
I'm beginning to feel like you're interrogating me and not the other way around.
Oh, please don't. We didn't mean to frighten you.
Then may I continue?
We are at your service.
So, it's the Golden Fang clan that's got you and your people in a tight spot. Am I right?
We're not saying they're responsible for the disappearances. But if it wasn't us, they seem the most likely choice.
I have to agree. Are you willing to talk about them?
To a certain extent, yes. As long as it doesn't harm our interests.
Okay, then let's continue the conversation in this vein. Why would the clan need a fresh corpse? What can they do with it?
Did you say fresh? How fresh?
Well, the last one was from yesterday. Why? What do you think?
If they were old carcasses, we'd be ignoring it. But fresh meat is a different matter.
Did you say meat?
Have you seen how many insects walk around the hive, missing limbs?
We've had the misfortune to see that, yes.
The Clawvillian gourmets pay fat little fortunes for fresh body parts.
To eat them?
Well, they're not going to put them on display. That's for sure.
So you think the clan sells fresh body parts on the black market?
That could be one reason for digging up bodies. But it could be something else entirely.
Which is?
We don't know, Mr. Featherland. You're the detective, not us. But we're sure you'll get to the bottom of it.
You really do see everything. What do you think the clan is playing for? And where do they get their resources?
For the clan, hiding in the hive was a great idea. But they cut themselves off from the rest of the city with it. So they must have connections or help from beyond the walls.
Another gang? Maybe they've teamed up with someone. The Black Scales. The Furies, maybe.
I don't think so, Mr. Featherland. All the criminal organizations in Clawville are different, but they all have one thing in common. They all want absolute power. That's why they don't really ally themselves with others.
What are you implying? Who can support them from beyond the walls?
Whose interest do you think it would be to aid and abet the clan and get them here? Whose interest is it for the hive to slowly bleed itself dry? For someone who has a problem with the very existence of it.
You mean?
Yes, exactly, Mr. Featherland.
Sweet, furry, feathered heavens. You claim that the clan is funded by the crown?
We're not saying it is. But the city government is currently benefiting from the fact that the hive is getting on with its little infighting, instead of causing trouble on the big scale. You know, peace negotiations are coming.
Well, what does that have to do with the disappearance of a few bodies of ordinary citizens? Even if it's like you say, isn't that just more fuel for the fire?
It might be. Perhaps it's for a different purpose, Mr. Featherland. That detective, that private eye, who was working on this.
Private Eye?
Frank Castellini. Or, as many called him, half-armed Frank, which we always thought was funny, because he was only one arm short of 4.
Shit. Frank.
The fool was obsessed with pursuing Mick and the clan. He discovered something significant. Maybe he found out exactly where they were hiding. In any case, it certainly pissed off the monkey. Because Mick's got a big bounty on poor Frank's head.
That's bad. That's really bad. Well, thank you for telling me this.
We're surprised to say it ourselves, but we're glad we could help.
You see? That's what I'm talking about.